So you guys have just been back into the studio. You just completed a new record.
Second one.
What's it tentatively titled, or does it have an actual title already?
It is called Rotation.
Rotation.
Mm-hmm.
So you've gone from almost the longest record title in the history of record titles to a one-word title.
Yeah, just Rotation.
Rotation. Anything behind it, or just?
No. I think everyone just kind of liked Rotation. I mean, there's some meaning behind it, but I don't.
Can I just say that I appreciate when a band literally says there was no effing reason whatsoever we decided to do this. We just wanted to because it sounded cool, rather than going, oh, there was so much meaning behind it.
There's a little bit of meaning, like, but pretty much.
Does it have anything to do with the band's lineup at all?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that. That's my meaning.
That's your meaning.
Yeah.
Everybody takes from it what they want, though.
And then, or there's the other Rotation. So, a few people will get one.
Yeah. Yeah. There's Rotation. And then of course there's put this record into rotation.
Yeah, there's that one too. The Rotation radio. So
comparing the first record and the new record, that's when is that scheduled to drop?
The second record comes out June 24th.
June 24th. That's a good day. It's a few days after my birthday.
Really?
I'll be looking forward to that. Comparing the new record versus the old record as far as stylistically and maturity wise, how do you guys think you've progressed as a band?
I don't like everyone's just like, oh, they changed. It just, a band doesn't like change, like
a band evolves.
Yeah, like your balls drop. That's pretty much.
That's awesome.
That's pretty much how I put it. Like,
yeah, I can see that when you say that. Draw example. A couple more of my favorite local Buffalo bands, Snapcase and Every Time I Die. When those bands started, they sounded like A, and they ended up sounding like XYZ, and it took them years to get there. But by the time they finished, they or got to where they are now presently.
Yeah, it's just like your voice changes. Your voice gets deeper.
Your voice changes. Your voice gets deeper. You become a better musician.
Yeah.
And you experience some stuff in life that makes you go, wow, I kind of really have to, take perspective on what it is that I'm writing about.
Exactly.
It changes. It changes from being angry and furious to wanting to actually write something meaningful.
Or as opposed to like being like a stupid kid in the studio, the record, and then being like, oh, it's our second record,
Yeah. It's like,
right.
Wow, we get to record a second record? I better just, settle down right now.
I gotta get to work.
So, you went in, and the process for the first record was something that happened relatively quickly. It didn't take very long to do it. You guys pretty much wrote the whole thing with only a couple ideas in mind from things you demoed previously.
Yeah, the first one we kind of did both records the same way, and we went in the first time we went in the studio. We only had like 3-4 ideas, and we just wrote the rest in pre-production, in the studio, and then we were all kind of nervous and like, what are we, So we tried the same thing again, and it happened again the same way, except
you spent a little more time on it.
Yeah,
that's the one thing that I've noticed too. Bands will say that end up recording in that way. There's some bands that like literally, even if they're on the road, they just have the ability to write, and they're demoing the whole time, and then they bring the stuff to the table and go, cool, what are we gonna do? And then there's bands that like, maybe aren't quite as experienced at things, or don't have as much time, available to them because they're touring more. Smaller bands have to tour way more than larger bands do because they have to support themselves, get the name out and everything. So I know that I've heard in interviews with Andy Williams and I think even Keith Buckley from Every Time I Die saying that, with the first few records, they'd write them in 3 weeks to a month. They'd write the record, get into the studio, and do it in a couple of weeks with plus post-production with mastering and whatnot. But then with Gutter Phenomenon, they spent a few months writing the record, and they don't even like it.
Yeah.
And I think that if you spend too much time writing things, sometimes that you overthink it, and that's what they kept saying. We overthink it, and that's how they ended up with that problem. And having the luxury of having the time must be nice. But
that's what we. Dumb as it sounds, is we kind of like being under pressure. Like it was just like, oh shit,
Yeah.
We gotta get down and do this. We gotta meet the quota, and then we did it.
Yeah.
And
the under the pressure thing works a lot. Geddy Lee from Rush, right? Those guys are millionaires, right? They all have a full Pro Tools HD studio in their basement, but they record at a corporate recording studio, so they are under the gun that they know they have to get it done in this amount of time because it's costing money, and they end up doing a better job that way.
Yeah,
they don't overthink things.
You got that producer, quote unquote, the babysitter.
The babysitter. So you record this record and you spend some time in there. And what's the recording process like in a high end studio like that?
You got the pre-production, which is like you got all your songs, and you go in and you pretty much rearrange all your songs the first couple weeks, and then like after like the first like 2 or 3 weeks you start drums, and that takes like a few days. Sometimes if you have a shitload of songs, it might take a week, and then it kind of varies. With guitar, you could do guitar first, or you could do bass first. You just kind of
you just kind of work on it from there.
Yeah, but it's cool for drums though, because I get to get out of there.
Yeah, he gets to hang out in California if he wants to just screw around and be like, "Oh, guys, have a good day," and they're in there grueling away. So you recorded with John this time around.
John Feldman.
John Feldman. Not nice things to say about John Feldman.
Oh, he's okay.
He's all right. He was efficient. Is that the problem?
Yeah.
Yeah. For those of you in Radio Land, we're going to leave that one alone. John is a relatively well-known producer who's recorded many bands, including Story of the Year and I think even the Smiths at some point. And there was some inner turmoil between Tommy and some of the other members of the band and he himself. But at the end of the day, we have a new record that's coming out, and I think we're all pretty excited about it. I know I am. I haven't even heard anything from it yet. And this kid calls me his friend. Can't even give me an advance copy. Swear to God.